Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of NEWSWAVE, written, produced and recorded in the heart of Cornwall by the team here at Chaos Radio. I'm your host Tom Howe and I'll be guiding you through some of the insightful guests and exciting news contents that we've enjoyed across Chaos Radio this past week. On today's show, we join Alex Tweed, founder of TideLight, who joins Ross Lannon to talk about the Tide.Lamp, a unique Cornwall-made light that mirrors real-time tides at your favourite beach. We check in with Martin Lovell, General Manager at the Story of Emily Museum near Liskeard, who shares details about their Victorian winter experience, festive workshops, and their Christmas in Motion weekend. As well as that, we take a trip to White River Cinema to meet Sir Michael Morpurgo, a beloved author and guest of honour at the inaugural St Austell Festival of Children's Literature Film Festival. We hear from Paula Jones from the Portloe Benefit Society, who explains how the community came together to save the precious ship Inn and what's next for the village pub. And we welcome TV and radio personalities Vanessa Feltz and Dr. Hilary Jones, who talk about why getting a flu jab is the best way to protect yourself and your loved ones this winter. NEWSWAVE. Okay, first this week to Alex Tweed, founder of TideLight, who joins presenter Ross Lannon in the studio. With over 20 years' experience in IT, Alex has designed and made something truly unique right here in Cornwall. It's a product called the Tide.Lamp, which is a light that mirrors the real-time tide at your favourite beach, with the colours rising and falling with the ocean itself. NEWSWAVE.
Alex, welcome to Chaos.
Morning, Ross. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. I've been looking forward to this because we've had it in the calendar for a while, haven't we? So yeah, looking forward to chatting all things TideLight. Before we jump into that, though, I always like to give our guests an opportunity to introduce themselves to our listeners. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the man behind it all?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Alex. I've lived in Cornwall since the 2000. I've always been, a lover of the sea, and that's what brought me to Cornwall originally. And I've kind of worked in IT, so I'd class myself as a bit of someone that loves going to the beach but also loves technology, and I suppose what I've tried to do here is bring those two things together. So I've always worked in attractions for some reason in IT. So I used to work for Mellon Entertainments, who used to own like the Sea Life Centres, and then I've moved on to Eden Project and I work there as well. So that's something I'm still doing at the moment. So with Eden, I've brought that sustainability into the, how I do things and into my core as well. So yeah.
Nice. So it's kind of like your two worlds colliding. You've had your kind of employment, your main jobs over the years, and now you've kind of used all that knowledge and experience to launch your own kind of side hustle.
Yeah, and I think for someone, I'm always bombarded, I'm sure like you are, by technology and data every day. And actually, although I work in IT, I get I kind of overwhelmed by it. And I think part of what interests me is providing useful information to people in a calm and kind of easy way to view, in a beautiful way to view it.
Now, you must feel very kind of obviously passionate to be able to launch a product like this, but I'm imagining you've got the lamp here in front of us here in the studio. This must be like your baby. You've put probably blood, sweat and tears
very much so
into this. So for those not familiar with the Tide.Lamp, kind of in your own words, give us a little description of what it's all about.
Yeah, okay, so think tide clock. That's basically what it's doing. Is it's showing you the tide and the state of the tide as it rises and falls. But instead of it doing it in an analog kind of dial way, what we do is we show a visual representation of what the water and the sand are doing. So when the tide is fully up, you get a kind of a full blue lamp, and then as the tide comes down, like you get this sandy colour that kind of replaces, which is supposed to represent the sand.
Right.
So it's a really nice, easy way for people to see at a glance what the tide's doing. I have a 4-year-old, and he tells me, Dad, it's high tide. So it's just an easy way to show the tide.
Yeah, do you know what? This is so handy, because the amount of times I've been like in a bit of a mood where I'm like, I want to go to the beach. I want to, I don't personally go on the actual beach very often, but I love driving to a beach, parking up with a nice view. The amount of times I've driven somewhere, I then realise, I probably should have looked online or checked the levels first to see if the sea is in, and then it's kind of like a wasted trip. So this is kind of the perfect solution to this as well.
And when you've got it in your home, you just get used to those rhythms, because they do change every day, but they change kind of progressively every day, and it's there in your subconscious. You just get to know when it's going to be high tide and when it's not. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, without getting too techie on me, because I am not whizzed up on my tech, that's for sure, kind of just explain how on earth does this work?
Yeah, so what we do is we take the data from the Admiralty, so the Hydrographic Office. We take that raw data, and then we use an algorithm to turn that into a kind of visual representation on the lamp. For the UK, we have the Hydrographic Office, and then we do it globally as well. So we can look at about 7,000 global locations at the moment.
Wow!
So that's basically all it's doing. We just do some clever maths to work that out and make sure that it's accurate. So the tide doesn't just kind of go in and out; it slows down as it reaches high tide and low tide, and then it speeds up in the middle. So that it's called the rule of twelfths, about how it speeds up and slows down, and we make sure that it is doing that accurately. So as the tide kind of goes out, it will slow down and kind of reach a kind of a still point, and then speed up in the middle to represent that. So
it's so clever, isn't it? I think technology often gets a bad rep nowadays, because people are like, tech is taking over everything, it's scary. But when there's like really cool things like this, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and like this was developed out of basically I built one for my wife about 7 years ago, and for the last 5 years it's just been in our house doing its thing. Just for our use. And it wasn't till a couple of years ago that our friends said, could you build me one? And then we thought, is this something that we could turn into a business?
Yeah Have you ever thought about going on Dragon's Den?
Well, now the product's out, I'm hoping that I won't have to suffer the wrath of the dragons. But it's definitely something we've considered, and there was a point when we were looking for funding, and actually the Cornwall Council have been amazing, and they provided us with some funding from their Shared Prosperity Fund, and that helped fund the prototypes and the design to manufacture. So actually without that we would have found it very difficult to do that, because for a startup like us, bringing a product to market is quite daunting. Bringing a product that's never been designed before is quite a miracle challenge. So, it's been through the support of them and our partners based in Cornwall as well that we've been able to produce this.
Brilliant. Well, let's talk a bit more about the kind of personalisation of it, because I know when you come in the studio today, you said, I've set it to Portloe Beach, obviously near the Chaos Studios here today. Yep. So you've said you've got a kind of database of 7,000 odd different beaches and places you can focus on at the minute. So tell me a bit more about that personalisation. Can you can change the colours or the brightness or anything like that? Yeah.
So there's a few things. So obviously in the UK, the locations, I think it's about 2,000 locations in the UK, and we use the kind of nearby tidal stations for that data. So you can really, with the app is designed, I have to say, by a company in Truro called High Yield. Right. So even the app we've tried to keep working with local suppliers, but basically with the app you can select your nearest beach, so it will use your GPS to find your nearest 5 beaches and you can pick one. We also, there is brightness controls, and you can change the way the lights, whether the tide goes down or up, because some people prefer the water to come up from the bottom and then down, and then other people prefer it from the top up. And even in the office we couldn't decide which way it should be, so we've done it so you can choose. But you can also set a schedule, so you can tell it to come on in the morning and turn off in the evening, and it won't just kind of go off. It will slowly get dimmer and dimmer and dimmer over an hour, and then just gently go out. And so you don't you don't have to switch it on or off. You set it in the app, and then it kind of, I have it set next to the telly so that when that's kind of going down, I know I'm subconsciously getting ready for bed.
Yeah.
And then when it goes off, I'm like, right, it's time for bed.
There's something about it. It is so visually pleasing. It really is. If you guys want to, if you're just obviously listening to us through audio today, do go and have a look at this online. Just search kind of TideLight online and you will find pictures of it, because it really is beautiful to look at. We've got it lit up here in the studio at the moment. There's just something really relaxing, whether it's like the colours or just that tone of the wood. It is really visually pleasing, and it does just make you feel relaxed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There is something in that kind of theory about kind of mood lighting. I love it.
I wish I could leave it here for the day, Ross, because you'd see it kind of go out and out throughout the show. So yeah, it is lovely. Yeah, and that was something that I wasn't expecting, actually, because I've got one sat with me while I'm working in my office, obviously for testing and stuff. But actually, just having it there during the day while I'm working does have a wellness effect that I wasn't expecting, and it does help. So that when you're doing work, just to have that rhythm of the tide, it really helps.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's the thing. Like, we live in a world now where there's a lot more awareness around mindfulness and kind of reconnecting with nature and things, and this kind of fits right on brand with that.
Exactly, and you can connect with your favourite part of the coast anywhere. You don't have to be. We're lucky we live by the sea, but if you're in London, I think it's kind of even more important. Then you can bring that connection back with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's kind of talk a little bit about the design of it all. Tell me a little bit about this, because I understand it's kind of your hand-turned wood and it's got all these oils as well. So talk to me about the process of actually making it.
Yep. The process has been complex. The nature of the product is that the way the tide is, it has to be a linear thing. It has to, for us to accurately show you what the tide is doing. The actual design for the lamp, the first version that I built for my wife was actually a strip of 1 meter like LEDs that went behind a headboard of our bed and then kind of projected onto the wall, which is also really cool, but it's probably maybe not as accessible as a lamp that you can put on a table. So that's why we went for the kind of smaller lamp design. And the wood is kind of, I suppose, the highlight of the product. So the wood is Accoya, which grows really fast, and then they put it through a process to turn it into a hardwood. So basically you're getting the properties of hardwood. It's very hard wearing and kind of resistant to the environment, but at the same time it doesn't take 100 years to grow like an oak tree, so it's really sustainable wood. And that wood is hand turned by Woodscott CNC Services in Axminster. So he CNCs the wood to put the holes in for the electronics and stuff like that.
Right.
And then they hand turn it to get this lovely finish on it. But it means that every single one's different. So I've only got one in the studio today, but if I was to bring another one, you'd see that it just looks completely different. The grain is different on each one. So each one is individual. Each one is handmade. So it's a very unique, very unique product.
It certainly is. You can see kind of the we've already said how like visually pleasing it is, but just like you can see the craftsmanship that's gone into it. It really is really beautiful. We've had lots of supportive comments coming in. Lucy says this is lovely. Gillian says this is so cool. It is just something a bit different.
Yeah,
and we love a local Cornish business as well.
Exactly.
That's really, really cool.
Cornwall's amazing for innovation, though. Like there's just some of the businesses that we've worked with. So FlexiHex, who produced the packaging, which is like this kind of honeycomb packaging. They're based in Penzance, and they're doing stuff really innovative in that environment with plastic-free packaging. And another company, the Cell Electronics, they're based in Falmouth, and they've produced all of our electronics. So it's amazing because we've got these amazing companies in Cornwall to work with.
Right. So these have been kind of, am I right in saying these have been kind of available for pre-order for a while, but now they're actually available?
Yep.
How many have you kind of got ready and waiting to go?
So we've got. Basically, we ran a Kickstarter in March, so that helped fund the first batch of lights. So we've got more than enough to meet demand now. So that's taken quite a long time for us to get from March to start manufacturing them, because with a product like this, there's so many variables, and like I said before, it's something that hasn't been on the market before. We had to get it safety tested and electrical emissions testing and stuff like that, which is quite a long, laborious process. But I'm happy to say we've gone through that process successfully, and we now have stock ready to sell people. So it's really exciting, and we only actually released the first lamps out to customers last Wednesday. So over the weekend, I've seen the lamps come online. I've seen the response from customers, and as someone has created this, I had no idea really until it was out in the wild what the reaction would be, and it's been fantastic. And I've been bowled over by the support and how well actually it's gone. So I'm glad to say my support queue is nice and quiet at the moment. So it's been really successful.
Yeah, that moment when they're actually out there now, it must be so nice.
It's brilliant. It's really cool.
After all that work. Now, obviously something so handcrafted and well like this obviously doesn't come cheap. We couldn't have you on the show without talking about how people can get their hands on them. And I want you to give me your best sales pitch, okay? Because I can be my family will tell me at times I can be a little bit tight. So why should I pay that bit extra and buy this lamp?
Okay, so when we started the company, we made a conscious decision to do we get this kind of mass produced in out overseas in plastic, or do we try and make it sustainably and locally? Because I think for a lot of companies in Cornwall, a lot of innovative companies in Cornwall, sustainability has to be in the core, and especially from a sales point of view, we want our customers that go to the beach, they care about the ocean, and they care about ecological issues. So we need to make sure it's sustainable, and I'd rather make less of something if you see what I mean, and make it really beautiful and make it well, than just mass produce something that is kind of going to fall apart in a year. We provide a 2-year guarantee with it as well, and we've made it in a way that it's modular, so it can be sent back for repair very easily. And people, once their guarantees run out, they're welcome to repair it themselves. We've made it easy for people to repair it themselves. So try and get rid of that waste electrical, culture that I think we're in a little bit at the moment. Yeah. Where just you get these, especially as we come up to Christmas, these throwaway things that last for 5 minutes and then they're in the bin.
Exactly. You need to look at this as an investment in our homes. That's what I like to think. Yeah, and it's a conversation piece. It's an art piece as well. And actually, when you look at kind of high, kind of like nice designer lighting, which is what it is. Actually, this is the lower end of the market. So this is. And it's not just a light; it's doing something else as well. Exactly. Okay, how much are we talking retail then?
So we retail it for $249 on our website.
Got ya.
And then there's free shipping on that as well.
Nice. Yeah. See, guys, sometimes it is a bit of quality over quantity as well. I fully see what you mean there, and that quality really does shine through. So
yeah, and the success of this product will allow us to go on and make other products that we can cater for other markets.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff. In terms of kind of the ease of the setup and stuff, I see there's an app as well, isn't it, that comes with it?
So the app is developed by the excellent High Yield based in Truro. So they developed the app for us, which makes it super easy to set up. I mean, when you open the box, there's three instructions, and we haven't actually had really any issues with it yet. So very easy to set up. Yeah.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah. And once it's set up on the app as well, it will just you can set the brightness and you can change it, but it doesn't need your phone. It will just go and do its thing, and it pulls down 7 days worth of data. Right. So it will carry on working even without internet for quite a long time as well. So yeah.
I bet you love it when there's like a storm or something. When the weather's really bad, the tide's going to be going mad. You must look at your light and think, oh, yeah.
It's when you get up on a Saturday morning and it's kind of like, right, what are we going to do? And we just look at the light, and that kind of tells us what we're doing for the morning.
Yeah. What is next for TideLight then? Obviously, you're very much in your early stages. This is only now kind of launched and available.
Yeah.
What do you kind of see on the horizon and the future of this company?
Yeah. So you've caught us at a real transition point from like design to manufacture to fulfillment, and now we're actually shipping lamps, and we've kind of like, right, we've got to sell it now and get it out there. So I think for now the focus on us is is selling the lights that we've made and making sure that we're getting those out to customers. But for the future, we've designed it in such a way that it can be used for so many more applications. We have about 4 or 5 other products that that we've gone quite far down the kind of initial design route, so that's all very exciting. But there's lots what we want to do with the lamp as well. I'd love for people to be able to have their own color profile, so that you could set it to like a St Ives lighter color, or you could have something a bit more tropical. So there's lots of opportunities like that for us. So
Exciting future. That's what we like to hear. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody out there listening, friends and family, if anyone's thinking of what to get me for Christmas, I will take 10 of them, please.
We can do a discount on 10.
Hey, there we go. That's what we like. My eyes lit up a discount. Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure having you come into the studio today. Thanks for coming in. Just give us a final plug. Where can people go? What's the website? How can people get their hands on these?
So if people go to TideLight.co.uk, or they can buy them straight off the website, so that comes direct from us, or they can go to TideLight Limited, so TideLight Ltd on Instagram.
Brilliant. Well, there you go, guys. If you want to go and check it out, do go and check out the socials or the website, as Alex just said. Lovely chatting to you, and best of luck. I look forward to seeing where this goes.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ross. Cheers.
NEWSWAVE.
Right, you'll have a chance to step back in time into a Victorian winter this December at the Story of Emily near Liskeard. The rectory will be transformed with beautiful decorations, and you'll have the chance to not only join in their pisky trail and festive craft workshops, but also taste a half and half pasty. What more could you want? Alongside this will be their Christmas in Motion weekend, full of puppet shows, live music, silent films, and classic readings. Here to tell you more is Martin Lovell, the General Manager of the museum.
NEWSWAVE.
We had a Victorian Christmas last Christmas, and it was really very popular. And the thinking is that we have a beautiful Victorian rectory, and members of the public, visitors who turned up last year and saw how we traditionally decorated it, like traditional Victorian Christmas decorations, just responded really well to that. So we're going to build on it this year with our decorations in the rectory and also in other parts of the site as well, just to kind of wow people with it.
So throughout December, you have experiences on offer for all the family, including a pisky trail and crafts. Can you tell us more about these?
We've built little dens out of hazel wicker in our woodland area for our younger audience. We've got lots of furry friends as well on site, ponies that we've had for a while now, but we have some goats, and our turkeys will be there along with our chickens and things. And it's just a great opportunity to get out and enjoy a bit of the outside of the Story of Emily, as well as decorations and activities inside.
I think not only you're saying this for about children, I think 48-year-olds like me who would be quite intrigued by this as well. So on the 6th and the 7th of December, you have a very special Christmas in Motion weekend. What can people expect from this?
It's going to be fun. We devised a concept called a Victorian Christmas in Motion, where we are going to have a 2-day event. The first day on Saturday the 6th, we're going to have entertainment for people to enjoy that flows through as they would have enjoyed entertainment in the Victorian era. So to start with, we'll have like a puppetry event held by the Flying with Strings Marionette Theatre. We've got a string quartet, so there'll be some music, and then we'll have some early film, black and white film, to enjoy through that period as well. So we're sort of giving people something a bit different to enjoy during the Christmas period, and a mimic of entertainment during the Victorian age. There'll be some workshops as well where people will be able to make their own puppets and enjoy that. On the Sunday, we've got something a little bit more traditional in the rectory. We have Francis Butt, who is the narrator of Emily Hobhouse in the War Rooms coming down, and she's going to do some readings in the drawing room, and she's going to do some classical readings, A Christmas Carol, Little Woman, Alice in Wonderland, things like that. And during that period of time, the rectory will be all decorated with traditional decorations. So we're using lots of natural products, dried fruits, garlands made of ferns and things. And that's all been done by Rebecca at the Garden Gate Flower Company. Our welcoming area has also a Christmas theme. I won't spoil it for people, but it's pretty beautiful Christmas scene that they can enjoy when on their arrival, when they depart during those 2 days.
I know your head chef Karen has been busy too, making a half and half pasty. How did the idea come to blend Cornish and South African traditions in this way?
I think it's fairly well known that traditionally down the coal mines, miners would take pasties that had a sort of a meat and vegetable meal and also a sweet meal at the other end of the pasty. And we took that concept and we've created something festive. So we've created like a festive pasty. One side's a really lovely venison kind of meal. And then on the other side, we've got sort of like a Christmassy mincemeat type of meal as well for people to enjoy, alongside the rest of the food that we also offer in the restaurant. And incidentally, we'll have some food choices on that Saturday the 6th as well, including mulled wine and popcorn that people can snack on whilst they're enjoying the entertainment.
Could you remind us of all the details we need to know how to get involved with your Victorian winter activities, including days, times and tickets, please?
Sure, it's really easy. The best thing to do is to go onto our website, thestoryofemily.com, and you can find out about your options there for the Saturday or the Sunday. The Saturday's got a small additional ticket price associated with it of £10, or they can just come along and book on the Sunday, or alternatively they can book and come to the Story of Emily and enjoy the Christmas decorations and the rectory decorated outside of that weekend, or the 6th, the 7th.
And finally, aside of these festive offerings, how can people get involved and support the Story of Emily all year round?
It's been a really encouraging journey launching the Story of Emily, and we've had a tremendous amount of interest. The numbers of visitors we've had have exceeded our expectations, and we've had lots of people coming and visiting us and talking to us about, their reflections on the Boer War and Emily, and sharing those reflections with other people who are out there. And I would say it's been wonderful to receive donations of artifacts and all this type of thing. But most people, the brilliant thing is they learn something and they go away and they share that learning with others. And that for us is absolutely the vision for our museum.
NEWSWAVE.
Sir Michael Morpurgo, one of the UK's most cherished authors, and the guest of honour at the inaugural St Austell Festival of Children's Literature Film Festival, joins Bryna Jordan now to share his thoughts on storytelling, the journey from book to big screen, and on inspiring young readers.
NEWSWAVE.
So, Michael, first off, how does it feel to be a part of the St Austell Festival for Children's Literature, given some of your ties to Cornwall and the Duchy?
It feels like coming home a bit. I live in Devon, but it's not that far from Cornwall. And I was very touched to get the invitation because I know this is a special moment for the town to have a children's film and literature festival. I think it's unique. I've never heard of it before. And to have it in Cornwall is wonderful, and I'm no more than an hour and a half from home, so it was wonderful to come, and I've enjoyed every moment of it, meeting the children, meeting the parents, and seeing the film again.
Yeah, I definitely think you've inspired a lot of young authors today. What would you say to someone, even someone age 7 or someone age 37, who wants to get into writing and start creating?
Well, read a lot, that's very important.
Yeah.
Live an interesting life. Yes, see lots of films, read lots of books, meet people, go places so you fill your head with the world about you. And you find out during those early years what you really care about. And then you write about what you care. You don't write to show anyone what you've done. You write about what it is you feel is important, that you feel you love or feel that you're worried about or whatever. So you write from the heart, and then it's fine. And when you do write, or the only advice I can give is to do what I do, which is I write as I talk. I try not to let the formality of writing get between me and the audience. I just tell it as best I can.
Absolutely. Given that this festival is primarily for children, what do you hope the legacy of your visit here will do for young readers in Cornwall?
I mean, finally what you hope from an occasion like this. I don't know how many people came along, 300 or something like that. I don't know, but even if it's only a dozen who think, oh, that was really interesting, and they pick up a book, or go to the cinema, or start writing, then it's been a success. I think more people will do that, because I think when something is live like this, and there's lots of excitement around it, it inspires you to be excited too. And I tell you the other thing that's really important about the film, is that when you read, you're isolated. You're on your own with a book. No one can see your emotions. You don't want anyone to see your emotions. But when you're in a group of people in a cinema, and you know that the people are crying around you, and they are all ages. This is not just children having a little weep. There's an awful lot of people being touched by what they're seeing on the screen. It makes them feel part of a group.
Yeah.
And they're going through the same emotions as the person next to you. And that's very important.
Yeah, it's that like shared effervescence, I think it is, where you're all feeling the same emotion. And I think even the film that we showed today, or even just your words, I think, when you were talking during the Q&A, there was moments where I felt genuinely quite touched, which was lovely. I think you're just such an amazing storyteller, and to be able to share that with the world must feel pretty special.
Well, it is lovely. I tell you what's really lovely about it. I'm 82, and I started doing this with kids in primary school, certainly, 60-something years ago. And I meet these people now, and their parents and their grandparents, and they tell me how much they remember of the books, that it stayed in their head and their heart. Then you know it's all right, it's something that's been done. Because actually what we are here for, and you're here for the same reason, and we're here to pass on what you're interested in, what you care about, very often to people you care about as well. And that's a wonderful thing to discover at the end of your life, the autumn of your days anyway, that has happened to a degree. It gives you enormous satisfaction, which is why today has been lovely for me, that's for sure.
Amazing. And finally, I would like to know if you could spend a day with one of the characters in your books, and there's 155, so there's a lot to choose from. Who would you choose and why?
Well, it's probably Kensky. I wrote it a long time ago, but I did know at the time a wonderful old man who lived down the bottom of our lane, who was quite a poet. He lived alone, never ate very much, never drank very much, was very quiet, very kind, always very kind. And I always thought that when I get old, I'd like to be like that man, in touch with the world about me, in harmony with the world about me, and with a sort of quietness around him, which he wants to keep. And that is evident at the end of the film. He could have gone off with the parents. He could have gone, and the press would have been there and all the rest of it. But he didn't want that. He wanted to have his quiet time, which he'd become used to. And I think as you get older, you become used to the quiet time, and you have more time to stand and stare and listen. He did that, and so Kensky is the person I'd like to become.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Pleasure.
That was beautiful.
Pleasure, a pleasure.
NEWSWAVE.
It's been a remarkable year for the people of Portloe, who've pulled together to save their village pub, the Ship Inn. Paula Jones from the Portloe Benefit Society joined myself to explain how the incredible community effort came together and what's next for the treasured pub.
NEWSWAVE.
First of all, congratulations on securing the ship in. Can you start by reminding us how this incredible community effort came together?
Well, thank you very much for having us back. Well, for those people who don't know our story, what happened was that sadly St Austell decided to put the ship in at Portloe up for sale, and that was in the latter part of last year, November-ish time. And the community were devastated by this news because the ship-in is so important to us. And so we decided as a community on the 30th of December that we were going to try and purchase the ship for ourselves, see if we could do it. Under a previous community order, we had 6 months' grace to try and raise the money in order to buy the freehold from St Austell, which amazingly we have managed to do in less than a year. We're absolutely thrilled to bits. So, as I say, if you don't know this story, please go on our website, saveourship.com, and there you will see our wonderful history and all the details of our amazing story. I would like to say as well that the campaign was started in partnership with Chaos and the lovely team here. And with Chaos, we made the most incredible set of films that are really worth a watch. And on there, you will pick up the passion and the dedication that the Portloe and its supporters feel about saving our ship and hoping to keep it sailing, keep it afloat for us all.
Well, that's very nice of you to say so. Thank you so much. Why was it then so important? We're seeing in different communities them lose services and resources and different parts out of the heart of those areas. Why then was it so important for Portloe to keep the ship in running and in local hands too?
It was desperately important to us, and again I refer to these films, and if I quote from a couple of people who are resident in Portloe, we had one really tear-jerking person called Peter who described how the ship in has been part of his entire life, and in losing it, he would feel as if he'd lost a part of his life. And that was, it was so desperate, but utterly, heartwarming. We just thought we've got to do it for people like Peter, where it's been part of their lifestyle, what they've done, how they've worked, and then gone to the pub afterwards. Another resident, the lovely Jenny, talks on the films about how the pub is the beating heart of the village. It's where we meet. It's not just bricks and mortar. It's about where we meet, where we share stories, where we continue and make friendships. It's something about being warm and being there for everyone else. We don't want to preserve this pub as sort of like set in aspic, like it's set in a particular period in history. That actually what we're trying to do is save a bit of history, but acknowledge that we need to take that forward so that it suits the world as it is today and also will preserve it at all costs for future generations. And if I could just give another quote that is also on our film from Louise, who said, "I want this pub here for when my lovely baby has his 18th birthday and he can come here and have his first pint." I mean, what more motivation did we need as a community than all of those heartfelt pleas that we've got to do it. We've got to do it and we've got to preserve it. And it's just a joy to know we've done it. Yeah!
Now you have taken ownership. What does the timeline look ahead of you now?
Okay, so we have the magic date of the 8th of December where we're going to have an opening. The pub will not be refurbished then, so I will be asking people able to still help us. As you said, Tom, we have raised an incredible amount of money. It's just magic how much we've been able to raise. We're so proud, but we still will need to raise a little bit more, but I'll talk about that in a minute. We've got a group of volunteers who are going to work with a temporary manager we found. There will be a limited food offer, and we will then open between the 8th of December and New Year. And then after that, long term, we will be following our business plan, looking for new tenants and moving forward with how we renovate and look at how we can get the pub into a better working order. We then will be having an annual general meeting, and a management committee will be elected, and they will be taking the business plan forward. And I think what is really important is, because I've talked about the great excitement of owning the pub, it's very important to continue our quest and to ensure the things that everybody wants in the village. If we're going to make the pub into a hub, we need to think about how we can offer a range of things to our customers and to the community, such as coffee and cakes and a range of different events, music nights, quiz nights, all the things that bring the community together. Also, we will be looking at how we can work with local businesses to help us with our new food offer, which we really, really want to work with local farmers, local producers, local fisher people, the wonderful boats that go out so that we can offer a lovely fresh fish and fresh produce.
Wonderful and really well said, Paula. Thank you so much for having joined us again here at Chaos. Before you go, can you remind our listeners how they can get involved, whether that's maybe by donating, perhaps volunteering, or even booking a table when the time is right too?
Okay, well, I did mention earlier that I would be on your case. So now we have saved our ship. We need to get our sailing off. We need to get all hands on board, and you can help. It's great. So the way you can help is go on our website, saveourship.com, and on there, you will find all manner of ways of helping us. And the first thing is that shares are still open. It's coming up to Christmas. So if you want to buy shares, there's a button and all information about how you can go about that. The other way that you could get involved is that we are now sponsoring a barrel. So we need to stock the pub up. And again, on the website, there is a button that you can press, and either a business can sponsor or an individual can sponsor a barrel. And for that, you would have your name above the barrel and a glass out of or a pint out of the barrel when it comes up to that barrel being offered. And you also will become friends of the ship on the website and on a wall that we're planning to have at the pub. The other way that you can get involved is to go on our crowdfunder prize page. And on that, you can make as small a donation as you like or as large as you like. And that prize consists of some wonderful prizes, including a lovely holiday at Portloe. The last way you can get involved, if any of that isn't going to float your boat, so to speak, sorry about the pun, is to volunteer your services to help us as we move ahead with the pub in the new year. I do think that what is really important to say is how amazing the residents of Portloe are, the people of Portloe are, how they have been triggered into doing, into helping. We have a very, very been lucky is that we have a very experienced working group who have gelled really well in order to take a lot of the hard work on board, all the back office stuff that has been very complex and quite difficult and challenging at times. So I think it's important for us, and I know I'm part of the group, but just ignore me because I'm just a loudmouth. But I think it's important to mention those people from the heart and to have a huge thank you to those. And they are Luke, they are Hannah, they are Steve, they are Brian, and they are Tony. And we also had quite a lot of help at the beginning stages from Emma. So those skills that all those people have brought together has enabled this. And I think it's important to mention them because of the number of emails we've had, messages we've had, which have thanked us. But that again is accolade for Portloe because they've recognised that. I think it's also important to say how this story is so positive. And we need positivity in this life. We need kindness. We need help. We need support. And that is shown in what we have achieved. And any negatives, we've just blasted out the water or caught them in a big net and sold them on. That is such an important message. Let's take the time, let's celebrate this really important story that actually, with everyone's help, including, I know, some of your listeners, thank you. And let's continue to celebrate and take this forward in the positive light that it deserves to be in.
NEWSWAVE.
Okay, this winter, the UK flu season has arrived weeks earlier than expected, and flu cases are triple what they were at this time last year. The NHS are urging people to get a flu jab now. TV and radio personality Vanessa Feltz joins Cheryl Gordon alongside Dr. Hilary Jones to remind us why the vaccination is the best way to protect ourselves and our loved ones.
NEWSWAVE.
It's likely to be a bad winter for flu. We've seen an early number of cases, earlier than usual. And also we know that in the Southern Hemisphere, during their winter, they've had the worst flu season on record in Australia. And what tends to happen there tends to follow here. With global travel, making transmission of viruses so easy. So it's a kind of warning for us that this is the time to think urgently about having a flu vaccination, which gives us a significant level of protection. It might enable us to avoid the flu altogether, but even if we do come down with it, then it's likely to be much less severe if we've been vaccinated than if we hadn't. And last year there were 7,700 plus excess deaths due to flu, not just in the old and vulnerable and the immunocompromised, but in younger people who were otherwise young and fit and healthy. So this is not just a bad cold. This is a serious infection which can hospitalize people and actually be worse than that. So, this is the time to be concerned and to take measures to protect ourselves as best we can.
Who is the most vulnerable when it comes to catching the flu?
Well, the very young and the elderly both have immune systems that are weaker than everybody else's. So they're more vulnerable because of that. But also, not just the over 65s, but people who are immunocompromised because of illness, pre-existing illness, chest infections, heart disease, kidney, liver disease, people with blood disorders, they're more vulnerable. And if people are having treatment for cancers like chemotherapy, their immune systems are compromised as well. So these are the people who are most at risk, people living in care homes, residential care homes where viruses can spread very rapidly, as we found out during the COVID pandemic. So these are the most vulnerable people, but everybody is potentially susceptible.
And who's eligible for free vaccination and how do they get one?
So the people who are eligible for free vaccinations include pregnant women, children, everybody who's got a condition from the age of 6 months to right through to 18, any children who are immunocompromised, and of course any adults who have got a pre-existing condition. Carers, frontline staff, people living in residential care homes as well. And I think I've already said people over 65. They're all eligible for free vaccination. But even for everybody else, if they want to get the protection, they can have a private vaccination done, which will cost anywhere between sort of £15 and £20 usually.
So what is your personal and family experience of flu?
Well, it was all a heck of a shock, an actual proper fear, dread, all those awful emotions that my family went through. So I'm going back just a short time ago. So this time in 2022, so just the lead up to Christmas, and my elder daughter's called Allegra, and she was 36 then, and she is a mum of two. She's a lawyer. She's a high flyer. She's always charging around. She's very slim. She's very fit. And suddenly she wasn't well. And obviously we thought, oh, well, it'd be the sort of thing where you take paracetamol and maybe, a little bit of ibuprofen every 4 hours or so for a couple of days and you start to feel better. But that's not what happened at all. She started to feel worse and worse and worse and worse and got to the point where she really couldn't lift her head from the pillow. She was, deadly ill. She was being sick. She was boiling hot, ferociously cold. And this agonizing sore throat, a hacking cough, but getting weaker and weaker by the day. And in the end, she couldn't be managed at home because she couldn't even keep water down. So she had to be taken into hospital. She was taken in an ambulance. I was sitting beside her bed, worried, sick, as you can imagine. She was a horrible shade of sort of pallor and almost a green tinge about her skin, lying in the hospital bed on a drip, unable really to speak. I mean, she'd not even whisper. She was just lying there immobile. It was absolutely horrible. And I even talking about it to you makes me, just feel just so emotional thinking about it. And suddenly the consultant strode into the ward holding a piece of paper with the results of her tests. And she tested positive for flu. And the consultant said to me, it's flu, it's influenza, that's what she's got. And I said, but she's been vaccinated because she had paid for the vaccine. And I thought that meant, that she'd be fine. And he said, but just imagine what I might be telling you if she hadn't been vaccinated. And fortunately, she made a full recovery. It took a little while. She was in hospital for something like 4 or 5 days. And it took her, I'd say, a further 10 days or so to be anything like normal. She was weak, she was shaky, she couldn't eat, she was, nothing like her real self, and gradually got better. And she's absolutely fine now. But I hear that phrase in my head forever, but doctor, she's been vaccinated. Yes, but imagine what I might be telling you if she hadn't. So I never want any other family to go through that. So I would urge anybody who's eligible for the free vaccine to go and get it immediately. But anyone who isn't, then, it's between £15 and £20. I had mine a few weeks ago in a chemist in Hendon, northwest London. I paid for it. It cost me, I think, about £18.50. And it makes me feel that I've done my bit, not just to arm myself against getting ill myself this winter, but also, against, God forbid, infecting somebody who might be immunosuppressed or pregnant or delicate or vulnerable. At least I've done my very best not to get ill myself and not to get anybody else ill and not to put any my own family through what we went through with Allegra.
What would you say, and why is it important to encourage our family members to get vaccinated in the winter?
I'd say that there isn't anyone, however fit they are, however young they are, however much they go to the gym, however much they feel that they shrug off a cold and they're not the kind of person that goes down with anything. I would say that, nobody is immune to the flu. You don't know who's going to give it to you or where you're going to catch it. And the point that really has to be got across that's very, very important is it's not some joke thing. It's not like, 24 or 48 hours with a bit of a temperature feeling a bit miserable. It's not that at all. It's much more serious as an illness. Dr. Hillary will explain, that it can lead to sepsis. And last year, I think it's 7,700 people in the United Kingdom died of flu. So you don't want it to be you, and you don't want it to be somebody you love. In fact, you don't want it to be anyone. So arm yourself with the vaccine because that will make the crucial difference.
How does having the flu vaccine protect those around us? Because Vanessa's put it across quite promptly about, the way that her daughter was. But how can we protect each other?
Well, there are many different types of influenza virus, and the virus changes all the time. There are mutations which occur on the surface of the virus. The proteins change, and the change in those proteins can mean that any particular virus can become much more virulent and much more potentially harmful harmful to human beings. So we keep an eye on these viruses that circulate around the globe all the time. We call it the Global Influenza Surveillance Response System. And armed on the information that we have from all around the world, we design a vaccination which is best placed to give us the protection we need. And just remind people, the jab that we get is not a live virus, it's a killed virus, so it cannot make us ill. This myth that still perpetuates that having the jab can make you feel ill, it can't. What it can do, though, and what it's designed to do, is to stimulate the immune system to recognize the real live virus should it come along. So that little bit of soreness we might get at the site of the injection is actually a good thing. It means our immune system is responding to the vaccine, and we'll be protected to a significant extent if we're exposed to the live virus. But this could be a very bad year. It could put a huge burden on the NHS because we've also got COVID viruses still around, and we've got respiratory syncytial viruses around. And the NHS is already pretty much under strain with beds pretty much full in most hospitals. So we want to protect ourselves, our loved ones around us, everybody else, and we need to protect the NHS too. And if we think about the vaccination, this is the time to get it done ASAP, and all those most vulnerable people are eligible for a free one. So it seems crazy not to avail yourselves of that.
NEWSWAVE.
Okay, that's all we've got time for on this week's edition of NEWSWAVE. A big Chaos Radio thank you to Alex Tweed, founder of TideLight, Martin Lovell, the general manager of the Story of Emily Museum, to celebrated author Michael Morpurgo, to Paula Jones of the Portloe Benefit Society, as well as to TV and radio personalities Vanessa Feltz and Dr. Hilary Jones. And as ever, a final thank you to you for listening and helping support local journalism to thrive. To catch up on all our coverage, as well as to check out our extensive back catalogue of interviews and shows, head on over to chaos.radio. And why not check out our new news service website as well? That's at chaosnews.uk. And remember, if you have a local news story that you'd like to share with us, email news@chaos.radio or search Chaos Radio UK across socials. That's it, you're up to date here on Chaos. I've been Tom Howe, thank you so much for listening. Whatever it is that you're doing in the community this week, be sure to add a little chaos.
NEWSWAVE.
Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.